I want to play from an early video that I made in the first days in which I had created any YouTube videos. And it's the essence of how I view Amida and my experience of faith. Namu Amida Boots. Namu Amida Boots. Namu Amida Boots. I have spoken in previous videos of the sublime altruism, the profound wisdom, and the amazing compassion of the Bodhisattva within Mahayana Buddhism. I've spoken of Kuan Yin as one of the great cosmic bodhisattvas who embodies or symbolizes infinite compassion, one who has taken that vow to help beings in their various states of difficulty in this life. There was once a time when I had a religious conversion experience. This was in 1979. It was outside the context of any particular religious belief system. But as I looked within and read and studied, it was Mahayana Buddhism that was the framework that made the most sense to me. And in particular, I greatly admired, as I still do, the notion of a being, of a bodhisattva, a Buddha to be, who forgoes or delays his or her attainment of perfect enlightenment so as to remain in this world to assist beings. I actually thought, hey, maybe I could use that as a role model and become a bodhisattva of sorts. I did various things to try to follow the bodhisattva path. And without getting into detail on exactly what those activities were, leave it to say that I failed miserably. I couldn't do it. In spite of that failure, or maybe because of that failure, I discovered that there is a path within Buddhism that doesn't require me to attain that kind of perfect character. And as many of you will know, that of course is the Pure Land path, the Pure Land form of Buddhism, which was promulgated on the basis of the Sukhavati Sutras, or the Pure Land Sutras, of which there are 3. And it's within the larger sutra that a vow is made by a bodhisattva called Dharmakaya, that in his particular case he indicated he would forego the attainment of Buddhahood unless through his good works and the merit transference generated by those works that he could create a pure land of bliss in the western part of the universe where all anybody would have to do is think of him or say his name and they could be reborn in his pure land upon their death. This actually is the form of Buddhism that's been followed by more tens of millions of people in the course of history than any other form of Buddhism, but we don't hear about it that much in the West. In any case, this Pure Land form of Buddhism was refined to its ultimate degree by Shinran in Japan around the 13th century. And that form of Buddhism is now called Shin Buddhism or Jodo Shinshu, which means true Pure Land Buddhism. In any case, Dharmakaya Bodhisattva, according to this scripture, this sutra, became the Buddha called Amida Buddha. So by simply saying the name of Amida Buddha in the form of what we call the Nembutsu means the name the name Namu Amida Boots, which means I take refuge in Amida Buddha, by simply saying Namu Amida Boots, or even thinking it. In other words, by orienting ourselves in a way toward cosmic Buddhahood, in a way that recognizes our own inadequacy and our own faith that in spite of our inadequacy there is an other power in the universe, if you will, which is concerned with us and cares about us and wants us to be free of our suffering, to be liberated. That by simply orienting ourselves in that way, we can get assurance in this life that we will be reborn in a land that is free of the limitations that we have in this life that keep us from attaining Buddhahood, that keep us from being able to accomplish the Bodhisattva path. Limitations of this body, limitations of these circumstances, that by orienting ourselves in that way and having that faith, that we can have the assurance in this life that, we are accepted just as we are and we will be reborn in Amida's pure land of bliss. And that is my conviction. That is my deep conviction and my deep source of comfort. Now, do I believe this in a concrete way in terms of the idea that, there in a specific place in the universe concretely is a godlike figure? No. But I believe that conceptual system, that way of thinking, most closely describes a dynamic or a process that is real. Keeping in mind that no conceptual system, no worldview, no way of thinking about reality is adequate to describe reality with a capital R. But given that we have to have some way of thinking, and given that we are suffering in this world and we are inadequate to become perfect, and we do reflect on and are concerned about what happens when we die, that I think it is true that there is a force in the universe that accepts me just as I am, and that there is a profound ideal that can be attained when I die, at which point I can come back and more freely and more capably help those in need in various ways that are inconceivable to me in this life. Namu Amida Boots.